Hey everybody, it's the Mad Master here. I just thought I would do another video while this channel is still up. No, it's going to be up. I think it'll be up. But right now, I'm actually backing up the entire channel. I'm going to try to, since I got my community strike, I'm going to try to go to some other platforms just in case. But I got about 30% so far downloaded. A lot of them were already on my computer. These iPhone videos were not. Now I figured this out. Now, this computer magic, to quote Spinal Tap. Uh, to paraphrase Spinal Tap, my favorite movie of all time. Um, you can see that in the background. My fucking favorite movie. I love Spinal Tap. I'm been into Spinal Tap since the early 2000s. It was just like, I think it's just, there's no other. I'm a film buff, pretty much. I mean, I love film. My friend, I had a group of friends in my early 20s, late teens that we would just watch movies like 3 or 4 times a week sometimes. I mean, we watched the whole Twin Peaks like two times or something like that. Or maybe that was, I can't remember. The entire, it was back in the day before it was like on all the streaming platforms and stuff. And it was, you had to get it on VHS or DVD, a little later DVD. So, yeah. Anyways, my idea, I just had this idea right now of doing a zine, from back in the day, all printed out on paper, not online at all. And I know it's environmentally whatever, it's not the best, but like with all this tech censorship, I'm thinking like maybe take a new approach to things and go kind of old school, with stuff. And it's there could be a PDF version too that people can like spread. I was just thinking about this. I've had an idea for like a magazine, online or off, for many years actually. I've thought about this, and where you interview bands and like people. It'd be like Art Bell meets Feral House Books meets Metal Maniacs meets Fangoria meets those research books, which I think Feral House reprinted. Re semicolons or colon search meets you know what's a good nerd magazine. I don't like Wired meets the old school Wired, not the new Wired, because I did my video. I think Wired really kind of went more neoliberal. They used to be more libertarian and cyberpunk, actually, for actual reality. But yeah, I thought about doing this. It would be a magazine that had, and it would be like a fans. I mean, it would start out as a fanzine, just press it, actually print the damn thing, because I, paper is not the best thing, but paper is, lasts a long time. And, like, yeah, I still have a little bit of an environmentalist in me that doesn't like paper, but I buy a lot of books and stuff, so I can't really talk shit. But, it's like, you can't really censor, a zine or like a magazine if you're, just spread, proliferating it around, unlike videos on YouTube, unlike different algorithms that they put on the search engines and stuff. You can't really do that to a magazine or a zine that's out there, So this is kind of an old school opinion that I had even in the early 2000s. I was like, oh, I would love to do like this magazine, or kind of magazine basically. I would talk about a lot of different stuff. It wouldn't be a conspiracy magazine. It wouldn't be an occult magazine, wouldn't be a political magazine. It wouldn't have one, and it wouldn't be a music magazine or a geek culture magazine. Interview sci-fi or fantasy authors, or talk, print stories and stuff, or have even comics in it, like heavy metal, like the magazine Heavy Metal. It wouldn't be that any of those. It would be everything, all those things, all the things that would appeal to someone like. In my demographic, not necessarily age demographic, but my cultural demographic, it may be a little bit of my age thing, because let's just face it, like the younger generations have a little bit of a depreciation for certain things, I'll admit. But yeah, I've had this idea for a long time, and I'm not sure if I would ever do it. But it's like at this point, it's like we may as well just use old school things, old school methods of proliferating our ideas out there. Sometimes, just if you have a YouTube channel that's taken down because you're questioning things or talking about something, and even if it's not that like fucking controversial, I don't think even what I talk about is that controversial. That's the problem. It's like I don't believe in like crazy shit like reptilians or like really necessarily. I mean, maybe on like an abstract, like esoteric, like very abstract point of view, allegorical slash archetypical point of view. Maybe that does exist. It's hard to explain what I mean by that. But yeah, I don't believe, I don't believe a lot of conspiracy stuff. Ironically, I probably believe less than I used to for, with regards to that. But I do like exploring those ideas and talking about them and, going to the root of them and talking about why those are so widespread. Why are conspiracy theories widespread? Well, people have mistrust. Why do they have mistrust? Because look at what's happened with in our world, especially the West, and especially the United States, the last 50, 60, 70 years, all the stuff that we've been partaking in from both the right and left perspective, it's the truth. Or beyond those perspectives. So that's, the state power has, and the imperialism has gotten out of control. And, these power structures want to perpetuate themselves. So yeah, I would love to do this magazine that has the zine, just like photocopy it, make just like back in the 90s, we had like the punk zines and like the fucking even black metal, like what is that, Metallian, which I have, the Slayer mag, which I actually have the book, if you can, right there. Yeah, I actually have that book, which is pretty cool. Stuff like that, but like, do it now. Why not do it now? And eventually, get a professional printing press or something, or press it out. And that, that way people would not, and it's not going to go to the fucking grocery stores, it's not going to, but that way, I guess it's more old school, and some of the crazy fucking like neo-Nazis and shit had their magazines and back in the day too. And, I'm not, I remember like walking down the street and I saw this ad for Resistance magazine or some shit. It was like, what the fuck? And then that was when I first heard of George Birdie, which is this really strange singer of this band, this white nationalist band, which is a guilty pleasure since I'm part Jewish. It's like, and and then he later joined this band Novacosm, which was had a bunch of diverse people in it. Then he kind of went back to his sort of his white nationalist ways because the alt-right got hot. He's pretty much a grifter, but his music and his voice I really like. It's ironic because I do like his voice. He's in this band, what it's called, Uberfolk, which actually I quite enjoy, unfortunately, for me. I like, a lot of these not like these far right leaning neo-folk pagan bands are very musically adept, and that's it's a problem. I'm going off on a off the rails now, but it's a problem. But it's like doing some type of zine would be kind of neat, because like I wouldn't purport to have a perspective one way or the other, but it would be on the cutting edge. It would be like maybe I would interview some type of far right person, but also far left people, people that were, but mostly people that were out of the mainstream and out of the establishment. And like, maybe I wouldn't interview like a BLM person, but I would interview like someone like more militant than that, and like, just like, just various like different types of people like that. And then, it just would be there's a lifestyle kind of thing with, it would like define a lifestyle kind of thing going on with that, because there's a lot of subcultures that come about because of magazines or stores, Because like if you think about the punk thing in England, not in America, but in England, the reason why the punk movement existed was partly because there was a store. And same with Norwegian black metal. There was a store, the you know there were stores that people congregated in. I just like these ideas. I just like these cultural ideas, and sometimes magazines can influence that too. There was like all these zines back in the '60s that kind of helped perpetuate the hippie movements and stuff like that. So I really like the idea of doing a magazine. I've had that idea for many years, but doing one that's printed and pressed or photocopied or whatever, like back in the '90s or '80s, might be an option at this point. And going back to old technology, I love the old school raves that used to happen in the '90s. You'd get this like brochure or this like card, and it would have a number you would call, and then you would have to it would give you another number, and then maybe if you knew someone, you would have some code or something you'd have to tell the person, and then they would give you the instructions to the abandoned warehouse they were doing the rave in. It was fucking awesome. I miss that kind of shit. We don't really have that kind of thing going on now. I guess you have all the Tor clients and all that stuff on the internet, the dark web, and all that stuff. But why not have this, this an old school approach to disseminating things or ideas, instead of having to use YouTube or whatever, or the internet in general. Why not get off the internet a little bit? Have more stuff like raves. I mean, obviously I'm not YouTube. I'm not saying that people should do raves now. Don't take down my video, please. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying in the future, once the crisis abates, if it does, I think that should be an option. I think we should try to bring back some old school shit. And I love the idea of doing a magazine that interviews all sorts of different kinds of people and has kind of different points of view and, maybe even some new thought people, just like on some of these podcasts I listen to, like Gordon White's podcast, and some of those types of people, and comic book writers. Comic book writers are a weird bunch. I mean, I'm telling you, like half of them are half these British acclaimed comic book writers are into the occult and all this crazy shit. It's really interesting. Grant Morrison, Alan Moore, all these people are really interesting people, and it'd be great interviews to get too. So yeah, that's what I think. I mean, I want to do this for a long time, actually, and I'm just thinking about it. And it's not going to be something I do right now, but maybe in the future, once I'm getting going with some of these other projects, I might actually try to do something like that. I've been wanting to do it for a long time. I did a podcast years ago because I was associated with we watched my Barry Kirky video from, that was like 2 or 3 years ago. You can see where I was talking about how I did my own podcast for a while too, and it was not that great, but it was my first time doing podcasts. I was looking for an episode last night of that podcast on an old hard drive, and I couldn't find it, but I was like, I really wanted to hear this because it's basically me. I was dating this girl at the time, and it's basically me ranting for 3 hours about how I was obsessed with this girl, and I was falling apart mentally, the whole this is like from 10 years ago, but I was laughing my ass off, thinking about this episode of the podcast I did. And I really wanted to find it. I couldn't fucking find it. It pisses me off. If anybody out there has that episode, please send it my way, because I want to hear it. It was really funny. That wasn't even a serious relationship. That was a sad thing about that. It was just like a kind of just a little sort of dating, friends with benefits kind of situation that lasted 2.5 months, and then 2 or 3 months after that, I met a more serious girlfriend. And it's kind of funny that I was obsessing so much, but I tend to do that sometimes. But so yeah, I'm gonna try to do some type of I might be trying to do some type of zine in the future where I interview people. Even if I interview them online, I'll just transcribe it, and stuff like that. I think people, especially people that are in the counterculture or the anti-establishment people, we need to think about what the next move is. And I think the move is taking it offline a little bit, you know, having some type of widely distributed magazine that people read. You know, it's like the powers that be can't really, it's like in the old Soviet Union, you know, you had, you know, these, like they used to make records out of like cardboard and shit, like rock records. Like they would repress them, make them out of all these weird materials and stuff just to get like the black market records made, stuff like that. You know, it's kind of, I'm not saying that we're living in the Soviet Union, but you know, it's becoming a lot like an authoritarian. It's slowly becoming more and more authoritarian towards certain people because of all these tech monopolies and stuff. Which, what you're watching this on, if it actually gets uploaded, who knows? I think my one of my other uploads is taking a long time, which would usually take a few minutes. So I don't know what's going on with my channel. There's definitely, I definitely have, somehow I got the fucking the eye on my channel. The funny thing though is like I'm about 50% now on my downloading all my videos. The reason why I'm downloading all my videos is because some of my videos were, except for this one, I don't really care, but is because I'm gonna probably put them on other platforms and see what I can do with that. And I just want to have a backup because I never backed up like a lot of these iPhone videos, like I was talking about in previous videos. And now that I have this awesome software, I'm not going to do an ad for it or anything, but it's I bought it for 20 bucks. I just bought the premium version for 20 bucks. And I had this other thing for like, it was 30 bucks and it wasn't even half as good. But this new one is just like, holy shit. Just to give a clue, it's like a blue, the software is blue and then it has like a white logo. It has the word click in the title. I just want to give people, I just like it. It's working so well. I thought I'd do a little bit of a half plug. So yeah, I'm very happy about being able to download my whole channel. All my videos are going to be backed up. I'm very happy to see that, you know, so just in case it goes down. But if in case it goes down, you can search my name. And I think I have most of my thumbnails for some of my videos too, various places. So even if the channel goes down, I could just fucking, you know, it's done. You know, I have everything. So I'm a little bit behind as far as technology goes. In all honesty, I've been behind for a long time, at various times in my life, I should say. You know, I mean, back when I was a kid, I had when I was first getting into BBSs, which are bulletin board, you know, computer bulletin boards. It's like the internet was around, but it was kind of a precursor in a way too, to when people had the internet. I had like a 300 baud modem and a Tandy color computer in the early 90s, which I was going on BBSs, and people had way more powerful machines by then because it was like 1983 versus 1993 technology, you know. So I've been a little bit behind at times. My father gave me that computer. It was pretty cool that I was able to use, you know, a computer on the BBSs and stuff. But you know, I'm a couple of years behind. Sometimes I'm just like, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do that. But thankfully, there's more software that is better at capturing things like this software. It's downloaded my channel. It's sad, you know, that I have to do this, but it's just like, I don't know, but I may be doing some type of magazine though in the future. I had this dream of that happening, you know. I've had that idea for a while, but everything becomes a lot of things become establishment after a while. Case in point, Wired magazine. Case in point, Metallica. You know, I mean, they were anti-establishment for years, and then they sold out. You know, it's just everything. If something becomes big enough, usually it does sell out to some extent. You know, so my magazine becomes a mainstream Condé Nast, you know, grocery store magazine in the future, then then it'll probably be compromised by all the corporate fucking and all the ads in it and corporations and shit, of course. But yeah, it's sad what happened in Wired magazine. That's why I bought a subscription, is because I was like, I used to read that in the 90s. It was kind of like it had a lot of cool stuff in it, like, oh my god. But a lot of these tech billionaires they started out as libertarian. I think the Wikipedia guy is still libertarian to some extent. They started out very anti-establishment, But they kind of went more neoliberal over time. It's pretty sad, but yeah, that's happening with a lot of people. That kind of they kind of sell out into this neoliberal thing. There's people that kind of go the opposite direction though, like Peter Dow was a huge like Hillary Clintonite fucking guy, and he's like totally like on the other side, more of a dissident left side now. It can happen to other people various ways, or someone you love went alt right or something, it just like it goes all over the place. So, like I said in my previous video, I'm still the same. I mean, people may dispute that, but I'm still the same person as I was, and I didn't really realize that until more recently when I was just like taking a look at my opinions and my points of view from years back. People may think that I changed or something, like some of my friends. They're like, oh no, man, you've become more like right wing or something, man. It's like, no, I've always been kind of libertarian socially, and like economically I'm a little bit more on the left, obviously. And with some other stuff, but I've never been like, I've always been anti-establishment. It's like the idea of being a contrarian or anti-establishment. It's like, well, there has to be someone that questions things all the time. That's my opinion. I think people have to. I think someone has to be questioning things all the time. I think there should be an element of society that has a certain role, plays a certain role, that questions things that are going on, questions the status quo. And I feel like I'm one of those people. I am one of those people. And that's how I've lived my life, my whole life. So if I see something, if I see some injustice that I see that people are just kind of buying into, or some type of hypocrisy, I will point it out. It doesn't mean that I don't really have a real point of view, because I have less of a point of view than some people. I'm a little more superfluous. Is that the word? Than a lot of people. I do have a little bit more of a, bend. I can bend this way or bend that way, and that's what people don't understand is like, I can see from different points of view, but I also always want to question the status quo point of view in some way, or look at the other side. So I'm going to introduce that thing to an audience, or to people, or to friends or family or whoever, if things go a certain way. And the last few years they've gone a certain way that I don't necessarily like. So of course I'm going to talk about the other point of view. It doesn't mean that I'm sitting here plotting and thinking, oh my God, it's going to swing this way, so I don't agree with that. Of course I want. Then maybe there is an ideology. Now that I think about it, there's an ideology of there is a liberty. I would call it liberty, libertarian, whatever, to some extent. I just don't like censorship or the government telling you who you can congregate with or be with, stuff like that. And those two things. And also, I don't like propaganda, like the nature of propaganda. I want to question it. So, yeah. So my last video about the Action Jackson nations was flagged and taken down. I don't know if it's taken. I put it back up, under a different name, but I don't know if it's gonna survive, because I don't know how these algorithms work. They just listen to my fucking. They look at the words, or they look at the title. We'll see. We'll see if my YouTube channel's suspended in the next day or two. But either way, it's going to be downloaded by the time I bet by the time the powers that be get around to that. And I'm going to probably go on the alternate platforms pretty soon. But at least I'm getting this all done. It's going to take months to get everything up and running on these other platforms. But yeah, so I'd love to do some magazine or some zine. That's you go to the photocopy person at the 7-Eleven or the fucking the Kinko's or whatever. You go to get a copy machine. You go copy all that shit and you hand it out to people or sell it or whatever. They use regular US mail to send you cash to send it to them or whatever, or check or whatever. It doesn't go through PayPal or fucking, or maybe even crypto. They can do, they can do something like that, or something, you can just do a lot of stuff. And when this whole crisis abates, especially, it would be fun to see like raves, like real raves again. I was talking to a girl on Tinder about raves. I was like, they still exist? Holy shit. Because she was like, I haven't gone to raves because of this thing, but there I was going to raves. I was like, whoa, raves still exist? Like underground dance techno raves? That's pretty awesome. I mean, yeah, I had some good times at raves. I never did a lot of drugs because I've never been into drugs that heavily, believe it or not. But it sucks, that whatever. Well, I'll see what happens with my videos though. I mean, I might be suspended for a week if they remove it again, but it'll go on BitChute for sure because I'll have it now. That just pisses me off. It just, being censored like that, and especially when I had a message that was kind of more along the establishment lines, like, let's wait and see what happens and not jump to conclusions. Oh my God, that's such a dangerous message for YouTube. The community standards violation for a video that had nothing, that was actually the opposite. That's the irony, the paradox of what I was talking about. So that's about all.